Hi Polly, this is Mike from Stagecoach Road Vintage Sewing Machine, and this is your Pretty 201. She's done mechanically, and Adam, our detailer, will get to it probably tomorrow or the next day and clean and shine the exterior. But she's running great and sewing great, and this is the final test before she ships out to you. And in this test we're going to go over how to wind the bobbins, how to thread the machine, and how to work the various controls. You may already be very familiar with this machine, but we'll post a video to YouTube, and it'll be of help to somebody somewhere. So without further ado, we're going to wind a bobbin, and your bobbin is below the slide plate here. Just drops right into the bobbin race, which is right there. This is your bobbin winder, and let's see, thread. Need some thread. So you put the spool of thread on the lower thread pin here, spool pin. Go into the tension device here next to the spool pin. Put a few wraps of thread on your bobbin. Oops. I put the thread through one of the little holes on the side, from the inside to the out, and hold it with my finger. Just put a few wraps of thread on the bobbin to hold the thread in place while the bobbin winds. Again, make sure it's going into the tension device here below the bobbin winder, and you want your thread to go on over the top towards the back of the machine. Slide it onto the bobbin winder and turn the bobbin winder wheel until a little keeper pin drops into one of the holes in the bobbin. Press your bobbin winder in towards the machine, and this little finger will drop into the bobbin, and as your bobbin winds, it's going to lift that finger slowly until when it's full, it's going to pop it loose so it doesn't keep winding and make a mess of thread. So press your bobbin winder against the hand wheel. Loosen the chrome knob in the center of the hand wheel, eighth of a turn or so, until you feel it hit its stop. And then the hand wheel is free to spin and wind the bobbin without making the whole machine cycle. Alternatively, you can wind a bobbin while you sew by doing all of this same thing, but not declutching your machine. Then as you sew, the bobbin, a fresh bobbin will wind. But that's not how we're going to do it today. So give it a little bit of gas. No reason to hurry. Just more chance of tangling the thread up. It's making a nice even wind on the bobbin, back and forth. Yeah, pretty even. I'm going to adjust it over just a smidge more. Another little smidge just for good measure. There we go. That's already more thread on the bobbin than we need for this test. Okay. All right. Christopher's mowing the lawn out there, so we'll hear a little bit of mower in the background. Okay, to release your bobbin, just flip that little finger up and it pops right loose. Retighten your clutch knob in the center of the hand wheel, and you want to drop your bobbin into the bobbin race with the thread coming off of the top in this direction. Drop it in like that. Thread coming off the top towards the needle. Now, there's a little slot in the side of the bobbin race here that you want to guide your thread into, and that is your lower tension. You'll feel it click into place, and then you'll feel just a little bit of drag on your thread when you pull on it. To thread the machine, put your spool on the spool pin, go into the upper thread guide here, between the discs of the tension assembly, all the way around till you pick up this little thin check spring, and keep on pulling up until your thread goes into the notch here at the top. Go through the take-up lever from the right to the left. Then into the thread guide on the faceplate, into the thread guide above the needle clamp, the thread guide below the needle clamp, and then through the needle, opposite from what most machines are, from the right towards the left, from the inside of the machine towards the outside. Hold your thread loosely and turn the hand wheel towards you one full revolution, and the needle will take the thread down where the hook will pick it up, wrap it around the bobbin, and bring up your lower thread. There's the lower thread. Put the thread between the toes of the presser foot towards the back of the machine, and you are ready to sew. This is some material from a pair of heavy-duty Carhartt logger jeans. And your electronic foot control is installed, working great. Okay, now I'm going to go right over this fat bottom seam. If you ever looked at the bottom of a pair of Levi's, you know how fat that seam is. Take it slow so I don't break a needle. Right down that fat seam. Such a good machine. She's working great. This is your stitch length adjustment. From the center position here, going down, your threads get longer and longer and longer until at the bottom are your longest stitch lengths. Going up from the center, your stitches get longer and longer, but in reverse. So when you back tack, if you want your stitches to be exactly the same length in forward and reverse, set the stitch length you want, loosen this thumb screw here, and move it up until it makes contact with the lever. And now when you go into reverse, your stitches will be the same length as your forward stitches. I'm just going to leave that wide open. This is your light switch here. This is, of course, your bobbin winder, which we already looked at. I've set it so that your average tension for average thread and fabric is at 3. And if you find that your thread is too loose and loopy on the bottom, you may want just a little more tension. Just increase it in tiny increments until it's even on the top and the bottom. This is your sewing foot pressure. It's how hard the presser foot presses down on the fabric. you want just enough pressure so that the fabric moves along with authority. And any more than that, you just might mar some delicate fabrics. And the other thing is, this is your feed drop. You want to drop your feed dog so you can do free motion sewing or machine embroidery, that sort of thing. You just push this lever down. First, back this thumb screw on the back of it all the way out. Now, you drop that lever down and your feed dogs are down, and you move the fabric yourself. To go back into sewing mode, just put that lever up and screw the thumb screw back in all the way. That's about it. There's your power cord. And your foot control, of course, is always connected. If you're putting this back into a machine, you'll have to take the two wires loose from the socket here. And to do that, you just take out this screw here, take it all the way out, you'll be able to pull this loose. And there are three screw nuts, thumb nuts, and the two that are closest to the back will be holding this wire. Just take those two off, remove the wire, put your machine in the stand, and then put those two wires back on, put the thumb nuts back on, put this back on. You're ready to rock and roll. And I think that's about everything. Every 10 or so hours of sewing, put 1 drop of sewing machine oil in each of the oiling points, and you'll find those in your user manual or online. My detailer will get this beautiful machine shining, and then we'll pack her up and send her home to you. So again, thank you. It's a pleasure working on your machine, and it's a real pleasure to see her sewing so nice, running so nice.